body. So I slept in, completely missed the 9 o'clock deadline. I am exactly 1 hour late. And I apologize. I slept a little late yesterday, and I think honestly, this morning I was up, but I don't know if I was like really tired. I don't know what was going on. Kind of got me to a situation where I was like, yeah, like go to the snooze button, just snooze. So, still kind of getting used to the fact that this is technically kind of a side gig, right? A job. It's something you have to commit to. And actually, I didn't even notice. So look at that. I have this window up, so that's not good for you guys, right? Boom. All right, cool. So, what do I want to talk about today? Well, the CCNP. The CCNP 1 through 4 chapters. I'm going to write a blog about this as well. But the main topics was spanning tree. Introduced very basic stuff on spanning tree, and these are all of the current flashcards I made for the actual here. Here's 1 through 4. Once first time over. What I mean by that is usually I read the book twice. I read all the chapters, then I go back and read all the chapters again. Now, what I'm going to be doing this time around is reading chapters, creating flashcards as I feel the need. Because in the beginning of this book, beginning of each chapter in this particular book, they have you do you think you know it? I hate how my live stream shows that. It's bothersome. Oh, that's why. So let me just fix this real quick. I just don't like how. They're gonna update? No. All right, so read it 1 times over and go back and write a blog post on whatever I need to do, which will consolidate all like the key topics. Once the key topics are kind of like finalized and put into a document, I write a blog post off of those like reviews that I think are the most important from these chapters, and then write flashcards based on that if I feel the need to. Then move on to their chapters, kind of review those, doing my chapter notes for them, then write a blog post about that. And so it allows me to be productive on the second time around. So essentially reading them twice over. Sometimes I read chapters 3 or 4 times, to the point where the CCNA book I think fell apart. It just was falling apart. I love books. So actually, what's a good discussion too is my pivot here is that's what I'm talking about. My opinion on subscriptions. So Network Chuck had I ran into one of his videos, and I follow him. I think he's the only one I follow on the IT blog channel. He's a cool guy. He has a lot of motivation. He's like super positive. And him, I think it was Jeremy Chara. They're always going back and forth on. They even like have like podcasts together, or a visual podcast on them on YouTube. And I just he I think he likes O'Neill's, the subscriptions for O'Neill. Oh, forgot what it was. I think it's O'Neill. See if I can find it just by general search. IT book subscription. But essentially, what you do is you, now it's gonna bother me if I don't get this. It's like annoying now. Because it's actually really good, but I have an opinion on why not to do it, right? Because the value of it is awesome. You know, you get, I think he has said $39 because he linked on the website I'm trying to get to. Chuck. So I'm on the tube and seeing if I can get this to load fast enough. There it is. Stop buying certification books. So my computer doesn't suck. It's just that it's not really particularly made for this much processing around like recording and doing all kinds of stuff. I had a video editor up, and this thing did not like the fact that I had a video editor up. So I know I can see the link. I'm just trying to pause the video before it plays. All right.
Everything in life is a negotiation. When you cross the street is a negotiation. Getting your...
Did you really just redirect me to YouTube?
At 4.
Okay, good. We're almost there, you guys. We're almost there. All right. There it is. O'Reilly. Fuck O'Neill. Jeez. So individuals. O'Reilly. See if I can explore O'Reilly approach. Never mind. So individual learning. Let's see how much that is. Just trying to get to the cost. And what you get out of it, right? So I just want to tell you here, but I'm doing a free trial. So individual premium plan is $49 a month or $4.99 a year. Teams, $4.99 a year per user. Now, what you get is a big. So it's not giving you specific, like a list of books, but I'll figure out how to do that. I guess I'll probably link Network Chuck's video because he actually goes and logs in. And pretty much what you get is you pay the subscription, $49 a month, and you get all the books that, like all the Cisco Press books, all the O'Reilly books, of course, and like Like one of the ones that was highlighted was 31 days before your CCNA, and just like all these and all kinds of them you can think of, like Juniper, all of these different types of books that security and routing is and anything you can think of is like a big library of them. Only Audible, well not Audible, like tablet. You could just skip through them and then read through on your tablet or on your phone. Now, I don't like this specifically because one, I like touching the book, and two, it's like you're like 5 years old. Think of a 5-year-old walking into a big candy shop. He like picks all kinds of stuff. He's just like, oh, I'm super excited. He's like picking up stuff. He comes out super hyper, and then you leave with a bunch of candy, and then when you get home, you don't want him to eat all of it all at once. So eventually, the kid will like just eat, and then just kind of like not eat dinner, and just like not. There's no positive outcome. But if you take them to Target and get them like a little like Hershey's whatever Hershey's little candy bar, and you hand it to them, all right, here you go, and then work on this for the rest of the day. Okay, great. So then he takes his time eating it, or maybe he scavenged it up and that's it, right? He doesn't get it for a while. He finishes it. Now it's the same thing kind of concept right here where I can't do more than one certification a year. So I just focus on one, just depending, right? Because I'm working. So if this may be perfect if you working a part-time job, maybe you're working like at Starbucks, or for example, I mentioned Starbucks is the guy interviewed yesterday. Rudy, he started coming from Starbucks, right? But if you come from Starbucks, like McDonald's or like a warehouse where I came from, like this, whatever, and you try to like hustle your way out of it, and you try to knock out like 2, 3 certifications in 1 year, this is great. But for me, and I think maybe you can knock out the Linux Plus and Sec Plus in like 2 years, but I don't. For me, like the CCNA took me a while. I think CCNA, in my honest opinion, if you're working and you're really trying to understand fully, you're not just trying to like data dump everything, and kind of memorize and go into the test that way. In my opinion, it takes 6 to 8 months for the CCNA. Now, for the CCNP, in my opinion, it should take about a year for the CCNP. For you to learn everything, all the basic concepts, reread it, go into the test, like scoring high and doing well, and then taking a job and being fully understand of just all the concept the CCNP gives you, as well as CCNA. Maybe you can do CCNA and then the SEC right after, SEC Plus or something like that, and knock out 2 in a year. But in my opinion, CCNA to CCNP, CCNA takes a lot of energy, and to go back to that same dedication back to back, it's pretty difficult. At least for me, some people are probably able to do that. But nevertheless, imagine a certification, $49 a month, where it gives you abundance of books, and then it takes you about 6 to 8 months to get one certification from it. For me, I'm like, I'd rather spend $50 on this one book, finish the book, and it'll take me 6 months to finish it, and then buy another book, which is another $50, which is $100 so far committed for 1 year, and then get certified on that one, which is 1 year in, $100 a year, right? I just don't. I feel that in 3 months I'll be wasting money. What I would do is subscribe for 2 or 3 months, download if I can download everything, and then I'll subscribe, right? But if people want, that's one thing that Chuck mentioned, was that it's a good form of reference, right? If you got a job, and there's something that I always get stuck in, I get into a job, and then that was these different type of technologies, and I'm like, all right, fuck, like, I gotta buy this, I gotta buy that now, so I can read up on it, so I can feel comfortable around a certain type of technology. whatever it is, like VMware or what type of version do they got? They got this older version, so like go buy Udemy course and just real quick spend 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, got it. Just to brush up on it. Obviously, not to like be an expert on it. I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm familiar now. Okay, great. So when things like that, this is great because if you go into the Juniper, I'm a Cisco based guy on Juniper stuff now. Let me just okay, I already got that, and you can already start reading it well before you even got the interview. That's convenient, right? But in that scenario, you have to be switching jobs all the time. You don't want to be doing that. So, in my opinion, I honestly think unless you knock out, unless you're trying to like, this is perfect for somebody just starting off on the low level certs, or just like entry level certs to intermediate. Try to knock out, to try to elevate yourself in a career the fastest way possible, and just read. Don't get certified, but just read. Just reading through content, reading it, and then get certified while you're working on certification on this particular thing. Get certified in like some entry level stuff. Read the higher level stuff. Apply for mid to low level jobs, and then this will give you like the gap and make you sound like more knowledgeable than you physically have experience on, and it'll help you nail those job interviews, and then slowly get certified. Because one time, one of my buddies told me, he was like, "Man, don't worry about getting certified. Some of the like CISSP and Sec Plus and CCNP and the Juniper stuff and some of the Windows stuff." He's like, don't worry about that right now. Like, you got certified on the CCNA, just chill, just read, just study. And I didn't get that at that moment. Now I understand. Like, just make your brain a library and just like read about knowledge. Just inform yourself because certifications take a long time. A lot of your energy, even if you knock them out in 3 months. If you knock them out in 3 months, you're like studying all the time. You're reading. You're waking up in the morning, read. Like for me, I wake up in the morning, read, um, go to work, read sometime on a break, home, read for an hour, and I'm done. That's like about 3 hours, 3.5 hours of reading. Sometimes when I come home, it's 2 to 3 hours, just depending on how I feel that day. So yeah, 2 to 3 hours. So instead I come home, instead of reading an hour, I read 3 hours, or I read for 2 hours and then I laugh for an hour, just depending. And then that day would be like five. It could vary from 3 to 5 hours on my total study that day. That's a long time. If your dedication, even if you can like everything kind of just come natural, or you already kind of know some of the material in there, so it will leave some of that stress. So when you go and apply for, when you go and get certified, you can just knock it out quickly. It still took 3 months of your life that away from you, so it still takes a long time. But if you're just casually reading stuff and just casually like a regular book, just reading, just gaining knowledge, it takes someone a lot of pressure. And in a year, you can finish 2 or 3 books, even if you don't know it to the point of getting certified, where you know it like answers are just coming. Boom, oh, I know that, I know that, I know that. Every part of the book, but you know it to in a sense. Oh, I remember reading something like that. I'm gonna go back and read it. Oh, okay, I get it. That knowledge is valuable, right? That knowledge is really valuable. So just keep that in mind and stuff like this. In my opinion, this is perfect for educating yourself in general. But in my opinion, I don't think it's a good plan for certifications. For me, I'm not enrolled in anything like this. For me, I'm more of a one book at a time type of guy, because I'm the kid in the candy store. If I get something like this, I will read 10 pages this one, 10 pages that one. By the time I reach to the first one I read, it's been a month because I read like 3 or 4 other ones. Like I've been starting to read that one. I like to just kind of zone in and focus on one thing, because then I overwhelm myself again. I start building anxiety, start doing all kinds of other stuff like that. So I try to avoid the more options as possible. because then I get too excited. Well, what's all this options and stuff? Maybe I should do that, and then start thinking, man, I should get into security. Man, I should get into cloud. And I read like a white paper or I read a newsletter or something about cloud architect. And oh yeah, what if I do cloud? How much does a cloud person get paid? And then, oh, what? Man, I should do that. And then like while I'm reading a security book, I'm like, I would drop this, and oh look, I have a book in O'Reilly or something, and I don't touch the security book for like a week, and I was like almost done with it. It's like, so for me, I hate having books that I haven't read. You know, it's funny. I have personal books that like just for fun. Those books I always leave like half read. But education books, I think maybe like some time insecurity for myself because when I was younger, I had terrible school studying habits. So now I'm like every time I show any type of possibility of going back to that, I freak out. So I feel like I have to just finish finish it. So yeah. So this is a cool source for somebody who's just trying to read up on different type of stuff and all that, and really likes reading from a tablet. For me, I don't like that. And plus, my phone's real tiny. It's like this big Pixel 2. And I got that phone specifically for work. So I used to have a big tablet phone, like the Note, but I hated it because my 2 jobs ago, my page was super fast, go, and the bigger phones were super hard for me to like pull out of my pocket, take photos, take notes, put them back in my pocket, do this, that. I always like yank on my phone. I'm like, damn it, just pull it out. Or drop my phone because I got snagged on something, or I couldn't take a photo underneath like a desk or whatever. She was annoying. So I got a smaller phone. Boom, instant like gratification. She was awesome. But then I couldn't read my phone anymore. I was like, no, I'm gonna get a tablet. Never got a tablet. So that's one thing about myself. I don't spend a lot of money on technology, only on certification stuff like work I spend money on. But stuff like that'll convenient me a little bit, make my life a little bit more easier, just in general. Like that'll take a long time for me to buy that stuff. So I need to work on that. Which one of the things I'm working on now is I'm saving up for the new computer I'm trying to build, so that way I can push these um, video podcasts, faster. Because the one I did yesterday with the OSCP interview, that one I still haven't converted. Like I let it all night. For some reason, my computer just like no. So that sucked. But we're good. So yeah, so I just want to mention that real quick on subscriptions, books. In my opinion, if you're trying to focus and really kind of narrow down on one thing that you really want to get certified, like that is the goal. I recommend buying the book at a time, even if you spend $70 for books. And in the end of the year, you finally get certified. It's better than this because in what 50, 100 in 2 months, you're spending more than $100. So just make sure more is not always better. Make sure you understand like what you're trying to accomplish, and then what's the best resource for you. This is cool again to read up, but if you're getting certified, in my opinion, I think you should just focus on one book at a time. So I'll open my site. So spanning tree, why is it important, right? Why is it covered in the CCNP like right away, like right off the bat? And I think the first chapters of the book are they've been a lot of the Cisco stuff has been kind of the foundational knowledge, something that you need to understand. And a lot of the tests that I've taken with the CCNA and CCNP, a lot of the tests the tests are really heavy on the basic stuff, which is usually chapter 1 through 9, and then the high end stuff, and it's just like sprinkled on top, which is like some of the labs and stuff like that. It's in the middle or in the very end. Well, no, in the middle, because the very end are usually the like one-off questions that you still kind of need to get right, but you passed without getting those correct. Like CCNA had BGP in it, and they had very few, and I think like WAN community. I forget what chapters that those were called. Something about like the internet and ISP stuff, and it was just like it's good knowledge to have. Oh, I think it was like multi-home and that section. It was like WAN communications. I forgot. I should go back and read, like take a look at that chapter, what it was called. But I remember like one or two questions on the CCNA on that. Majority of the stuff was access lists, a lot of understanding of like some of the masks and things of that nature. But BGP was very little, if any, and then a lot was BFE or GRP like setups and knowing those commands. And those again were a few in the beginning, like in the middle, and then sprinkle on top in the end. Same thing I'm thinking is going to happen with the CCNP, where route redistribution on the last book was right in smack in the middle of that book, and then the route tagging and all of that, SLAs, all that stuff was in the beginning. So I'm thinking the same thing with this one. Is that with this Encore is fitting like a lot of the switch type of book, and it's gonna be heavy on some of these questions of okay, well, 802.1D, what type of states does it follow, and the other follow whatever, and you're doing 802.1W, what type of states do they follow, and when you configure it, I have a feeling there's going to be a lab potentially with MSTP. Right? I'm feeling I'm gonna have to reread this chapter for sure. Right, this is going to be a heavy for me, right? Because they talk about some key factors here, like what two most common misconfigurations for MSTP region, and the network engineer should be aware of. Right, so VLAN assignments and to the IST instance, right? And then a trunk link pruning, right? What does a trunk link pruning mean? I'll give you some of these examples. So, like MST instances is important. I feel like this concept is extremely important. I feel 1 through 3 were pretty much a build up to the MST, but I feel like the MST is what you're going to be tested on because the CCNA was sent along the spanning tree stuff. So there's no sense that they're going to continue with the spanning tree, more of an advancement of a spanning tree, which is the MST, right? And then there's probably going to be, my opinion. I mean, I haven't took this test, took the route test, and had nothing to do with switching, but so I technically haven't, so I can make any type of assumptions I want. So I'm not breaking any NDA agreement, but I think who is this? Spanish tree protocol advanced. I think it's gonna be really 3 to 4. 3 and 4 are gonna be heavy. I think advanced STP tuning. Like we're gonna be probably, I foresee like gonna be a lab of we want to push traffic for this VLAN this way, and then push traffic for this VLAN another way. How do you tune it that way? And then, or we're trying to set up a network this way, and then you have to. The answer would be setting up a multiple spanning tree instance in a region, and you have to like configure that. I kind of foresee that happening just based on the route exam. So I really hope that they didn't change a lot of the tests, because I know they changed the CCNA completely different, but nobody's taken the CCNP and did a review on it. So I'm hoping that when I take the CCNP, it's not a they don't remove the labs, because the labs were really fun. Taking the CCNP was the hardest test I've been involved in, and I spent the most money on studying, and I still failed, but it was really, 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 really fun. It was a lot of lab stuff. I really came out of that I felt like an engineer, because a lot of the tests were route this and do that. We have this problem, this problem. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, let me see. Like, hop on the keyboard and I'll test. Okay, like, oh, you want to route this like HTTPS traffic? Okay. No, it isn't right. No, can we trace route? Boom, boom. And ping this, ping that. There's no reaching how I want to hop here. Boom. Okay, boom. Oh, that worked. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Boom. It was like that. Like, it was, I'm actually building up a routing topology to make it what they actually wanted. What we want to route here. I'm like, all right, here we go. Boom, knocked it out. I'm like, dude, that is awesome. So I came out of that really feeling really successful, even though I failed the test. I'm hoping this test, the new one, still kind of follows that same stuff, because that'll suck if it doesn't. It'll take kind of the experience away from the CCNP. That's why I can't wait to take it and pass it, right? Really cool notch in my belt when he's, for me. So, and then hopefully, so I actually want to talk about the CCNP tracks. So there's a lot of videos already on some of this stuff, but I kind of want to talk about, again, like my experience in my road and what I'm thinking. Like yesterday, I was watching some videos, again, Network Chuck. He's an awesome resource. He knows a lot of people, because he does a lot of, he does courses for CBT, and a lot of the heavy Cisco guys and just very experienced architects, engineers, and just very, very smart individuals test courses on CBT. He has direct communication with them. Top of that, CBT, in my opinion, I think, or he goes it off for himself or something like that, but he somehow gets communication with direct engineers of Cisco. So he had like a panel. Him, David Bombal, had interviews with the Cisco engineers, and that designed the tests and what they're meant to do, and what kind of like all these details and stuff. So essentially, looking at, if you want to look up Network Chuck, new Cisco test or something like that, it'll pop up on YouTube. He has good SEOs or something like that, whatever they're called. Pretty much, you just set up Network Chuck and you put whatever, it'll a bunch of videos pop up. But essentially, these are the main tracks you get. So you want to be CCNPs, enterprise certified, data center security. That's like tier 1, right? So now, if you're a Cisco, what pretty much it does, what this does is that if you are a CCNP enterprise certified engineer, you could be a specialty on something else. You don't necessarily are the same. CCNP enterprise certified engineer can be completely different. And then why? Check this out. Because there's a core knowledge, which is the book I'm reading, that's the bare minimum that's the minimum that you need to take. So all of them everyone should be competent on this one, and enterprise core. Actually, let's do this. Oh, there you go. All right, which is this book? This book, right? Everyone should have this knowledge, which is what I'm covering. Now, beyond that, you have all these other specialties. So a CCNP enterprise core person could take the advanced routing, and then boom, he's certified. It only takes 2 tests. SD-WAN, design, Cisco enterprise, designing Cisco enterprise wireless, implementing automation. As you can see, the ones that I was already clicked on, I'm interested in wireless and automation. What's likely for me to happen for me is be automation. But to be honest, my plan is taking all of these. If not taking them, reading all of them. Because my goal is a CCIE. See if it pops up. I never actually looked up this far yet. Oh. Ba, 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 ba. So here you have again the same sections. So we're not going to count DevOps. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're going to count DevOps CCNP, but CCIE you can count. I think this one's also, yeah. So unless this is Dev Expert. Anyways, 1, 2. This is direct correlation, like the path. CCNA correlates directly to the CCNP enterprise. DevOps goes is collaboration. CyberOps, sorry. So collaboration, data center, security. This is kind of the steps for me. See, this is interesting how CCIP enterprise wireless and CCIP infrastructure. So let's click into these. So my plan is to go into the CCIE. Now the enterprise directly is a correlation to enterprise infrastructure and enterprise wireless. You can choose either one of the CCIEs. Now, based on the information I gathered from the Cisco engineers that designed these tracks, is that, and this is all via Network Chuck's interviews with them. This is what I interpreted from the interviews that he had with them. It's again, it's like a panel of these guys that just talk about stuff. Is that the CCIE, this one, covers everything in here. So you have to know all of this stuff. So technically, I think the CCIE actually got harder, but the CCIE now covers everything in here in some form or fashion. It covers the 100% of the test. It's bits and pieces of all of these exams. So, say implementing pass the qualifying exam. Implementing and operating Cisco Enterprise Core Technologies 350 to 401. Right, that is the core foundation. And then pass the lab routing and switching. And then enterprise infrastructure version 1. Oh, okay, no, this is the old test. This is the old test. So it's this one. You have to pass this one. Prerequisites. So let's see if we can. How do I find like this is the actual test. All right, so let's see. Okay, so here what does it cover? Infrastructure technologies. Right, so this looks like, see, voice LAN. This looks like a lot of collaboration. CCP, access points, trunks, native VLANs, VTP, OACP, spanning tree. I'll switch stuff here. Routing concepts. So here's all switching concepts, routing concepts. All right, then software defined infrastructure. Boom. SD access, SD-WAN implementation, and then transport technologies, MPLS. So this is more enterprise. This is the route exam, the old route exam. This is what this is. And the infrastructure security services. So network security section on that, and it's a big section. System management. quality of service, right? And then infrastructure automation and programmability. So you can't take. So let's go back to the CCNP. So you can't just take this implementing routing and switching, because look at that test. That's what you need to do. When you click the actual, I don't like clicking the actual test. You have to click the test, not the, because then it links you to a course. So exam topics. Let's talk about that here. See, there's a layer 3 technologies. See if I can find like OSPF, right? Just basic stuff. VPN technology. This is where you see DVMP, like DVMP, single hook, NHRP, like all this stuff is in the route infrastructure. Almost spoke. Infrastructure security, troubleshooting. See how the difference is on this? So this is all it covers. You cannot pass it. You cannot pass the CCIE enterprise, just that, because you don't have any of this knowledge. Where's that knowledge at? Well, it's covered, and the automation is covered here. The SD-WAN section is covered here. The wireless section is covered here. The design section for it is here. Right. You may not need this. You probably need everything that implements. So implementing. You may not need these last two. But for me, I want to stack myself so high on this. I want to knock out this one. I'm going to leave the routing and switching services to the end, because I already read that book. So I already have the knowledge. This one's going to take a lot more of my energy. These two, I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea how these. I have no base. I have no formal reference for these two. But I think the CCI road to the CCI is going to be extremely fun. I think it'll take a lot of years, right, in my opinion, especially if you work and do all that. But I'm curious to see what that looks like, right? CCIE wire. They have a whole separate wireless section. So yeah, to plan, design, implement complex wireless networks. So this is specifically, and again, automation is still on here. That's interesting. So this looks like it's tackling directly wireless. So this goes back to this, where where is my CCNP? There it is. So what actually knocks out is you have to, what it looks like for the CCNP enterprise, you have to knock out this, and for the CCIE wireless, this, and this. Because I don't think they teach programmability here. Let's check it out. Yeah, nothing. Security there's no automation here. So either way, you're stuck having to take automation. You have to know it before you get to the CCIE level. So in my opinion, they made the CCIE harder. And they potentially made the CCNA easier because the labs are gone. This is based off Jeremy Shara and Network Chuck. They both took the CCNA already. And David Bombo. They already took the CCNA. So CCNA is an easier entry level exam. based on your opinion, they removed the labs. CCNP, I'm hopeful to stay the same as far as challenging in its experience. And then the CCNA got harder and more. It's, in my opinion, will become more valuable because it's no longer just a routing and switching exam. It's automation, it's wireless, it encompasses more things. And there's, in my opinion, now there is an actual path to it. Before, it was kind of hard to figure out a way to study for it. So people had to, you had to like kind of figure it out and know people to know what to take and what to study. Because I was looking up how to prepare for that, and it looks like you just take the CCNP, and then you kind of just, there's no books for it or anything. You kind of just like take it. I think. Oh no, there was a CCIE book or something. I forgot, but it didn't feel like there was enough stuff to prepare for it. And now there's an actual good form of reference on how to go as far as a track, go from a CCNA, a CCNP, what to study, and then go for the CCIE and prepare for that. So now I actually feel more confident with this setup for me to actually take the CCIE and then go for that, more attainable. And I feel like this is more CCIE now shows more value. Before it was just routing and switching, why take it? Now with this wireless and this enterprise, and learning automation, learning design, wireless design, just all of the stuff, I think it's real cool. Now, same thing with enterprise, and this is specifically for me, but just it goes for everything else. Like security is a big one. Let's go into security. Boom, boom, exiting. Okay, cool. Now, same with the security, is CCIE security. Let's go to security here. Exams. So there's a S core, right? Where it's N core, enterprise core knowledge, security core knowledge. Everyone takes that. And then all these other subs, same thing, right? Same thing. You could be CCNP security engineer, but you can be specializing in something. So firepower, securing email, all that stuff. Then it comes to here, CCIE. See, S core is the base knowledge. It's pretty real cool. Like, it's really cool. I should really like the way they did all this. And then it goes back to here. So what are you going to study? Same thing: infrastructure, security, boom, advanced threat protection, exchange, access control, all of that. Intrusion prevention, all that stuff. So, and all comes in this separate own pieces of technology, implementation, automation, secure solutions, right? All that stuff. So this is, I feel like it's a little bit, you literally have to read probably everything, or just like have knowledge of all of this stuff to get to CCIE and security, because here actually branches off to two different specialties: the enterprise wireless and then enterprise infrastructure. Security is just security. As far as all of them, collaboration data center. For the enterprise, they branched off to two different specialties. I'm not sure why that is. I think it's maybe because of, maybe you have to do a physical, like get a WAP, plug it in, and do this whole like thing. I think that would be real cool experience. But, and then I heard, and I never met anyone who took the CCIE. However, based on like Network Chuck and Machar and all them, then they were describing it that essentially you'll never run into a more difficult scenario like in real life. The CCIE really puts you in a situation where the network's so messed up that you'll never experience something that you'll have to do it to that extent and know things to that extent to figure out the network and its complexity. And honestly, it's true. Like the CCNP, when I took some of those labs, there was no, never mind. I take that back. Yeah, there are some things that you can do in the CCNP because I use the CCNP stuff um, for real world setting up our network at the arena, and I moved some of the traffic to go on our backup line so that way we can have more bandwidth available on our main pipe. So I did some. No, never mind. I did. There is some stuff, real world stuff in the CCNP. But if the CCIE is so complex that they're saying you're probably never going to experience that in real life, that's real cool. I think that's a real challenging thing to be able to go in there, pass it, come out, and say, "Man, that was real dope." And then everything else after that in real world is kind of boring. I think that's real cool that you're at that level now. So I can't. It's always been a thing for me, a challenge. It's always set to accomplish people compared to CCIE as a like master's degree, right? Or doctorates, and we'll see how what my experience what that role looks like. But right now, I'm really focused on the CCNP enterprise portion. Yeah, we already moved that, and I'll be reading a lot of reading all of the stuff. Once I finish the core, automation's next, and then we're moving from the bottom to the top. And really just knock out this certification, and then you guys will be following along with me. So again, look out for this blog post. I'll be working on this today, pretty much all day today, I believe, on getting that blog post ready. At least the notes, which is exam topics, compiling each chapter, each exam topics, and then we'll start writing, tidying up a blog where really filtering all the stuff that I feel like was, if you took the CCNA, this is what, and I'm basing everything off you took the CCNA because you should take the CCNA. It's not a requirement anymore, but you're doing yourself a big disservice if you don't read the CCNA because this book is really relying on your knowledge of basic concepts. They don't even cover. Well, actually, you know, I don't even know. Yeah, I'm in the first chapter, so they haven't even talked about IP. I mean, summoning masks and IPs and stuff. But when I read the route book, they spoke almost nothing about summoning masks and how they work and what they are. So in my opinion, you should take the CCNA, and it gives you way less heartache. So I'm basing all this work on the fact that you know some basic concepts on the CCNA of networking in Cisco. So don't attempt the CCNP without taking the CCNA, or at least reading the book. Read the book and then hop to CCNP if you like. But the CCNP first chapter is on switching, so I'm gonna talk about the stuff that really doesn't. You should really fine tune from the CCNA, because a lot of like the first chapter I like knocked it out. The next chapter I got like the review, the first like do you know it sections, and there's pretty much like 6 to 8 questions of just if you answer all of them right, except for if you get one wrong out of the whatever they ask you, then you pretty much just breeze through the chapter. Just read the exam topics, or yeah, like key topics pretty much, and and yeah, key topic. You do key topics and then you can move on. But if you get anything other than one wrong, then you have to get more than one wrong. Then you have to read the whole thing essentially. So the first chapter, it was the only chapter that I was able to do that. I got one wrong. The rest of them I got majority, like 90% wrong. So I'm gonna look at why. A majority of them were like a widespread of questions, right? It wasn't like a big section of all kinds of random stuff. It really concentrates on certain things. Um, so I'm gonna compile after a review of my papers on chapter reviews. I'm going to compile all that and write a nice little blog for you guys to my experience in the first 4 chapters of the CCNP, and what you should kind of really take note of and take heed on coming from a CCNA level to CCNP. So I really appreciate you guys. I am going to be heading off. Good morning, and I hope you guys have a rest of your good rest of your day. I'm sorry again. I missed that 9 o'clock deadline. So, but whatever. I'm still trying to build up that consistency and just all that dedication to this streaming process. So, really appreciate it, and God bless. Peace.